Kimmel finds it confusing that you expect him to be amusing. Our video of the day comes from Jimmy Kimmel, who fired back at critics while on Michelle Obama's podcast, saying he doesn't care if you're upset when he talks politics. Roll it.
And to say that, well, your job is this, it makes me, I bristle at that because, first of all, don't tell me what my job is.
Exactly.
You know, I don't tell you what your job is. My job is whatever I decide my job is, or whatever my employer allows me to do. It just shows a great deal of ignorance when it comes to comedy to say, well, Johnny Carson didn't do this. Like, well, first of all, we're living in a different time.
You know, he's right to compare himself to Carson, since they both haven't gotten laughs in decades. You know, what did you make of that, Malice?
I'm just amazed that she would kind of have him on. I mean, he's kind of like this pariah figure, I would think, at this point. To be proud of being a late-night talk show host and not being funny and to compare yourself with Johnny Carson, that's not a very good comparison. And it's also kind of scary to me how the economy is not doing as well as it could. People are worried about gas prices, putting food on the table. And this multi-millionaire is acting like he's the biggest victim between the two coasts. It's kind of insane. And I like how he's dressed like Zelensky, you know, to kind of get some appeal from the blue states.
I think Michelle had him on because she heard there might be a reboot of The Man Show. And I need to post. No, have a.
You mean that is the reboot of The Man Show?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I didn't say that though, did I? How dare you?
A sexist would say.
Cat, he's right in the sense that he doesn't have to listen to criticism of his job, but you shouldn't be complaining about the complaints then.
Right.
Because you know what? It's like, you suck. It's like, well, I don't care. I'm going to go do my job anyway. Yeah, you suck. It's a never-ending cycle.
But also, I mean, he had a huge career resurgence this year when he was canceled for a little bit. I mean, that was a huge win for him. But also, there are a lot of people, and it is weird, those people who, like, they're constantly criticizing you and they don't even know you. I get it, whatever. But everyone out there has been, believe me, but everyone out there has been criticized for their job at some point who make way less money than he does.
That's what the money's for.
Like, you ever work in a I worked in a restaurant, okay? You ever bring a woman who's going through a divorce the wrong soup? Because I have. And I still remember that day. Wow. So people, I mean, I just don't think it's the right way to go. He's not really, I mean, people did see him as kind of a sympathetic figure for a couple of days. And I think he's trying to kind of ride that wave, but I don't think that this is the thing that's really going to work.
And then he goes on a show that basically has the same viewership as if you were shouting out a window.
Yeah. Well, I saw this as a Colbert analogy.
Yeah.
Sure, his name's on the show, but it's not, is it his? Or is it the network's?
Yeah.
And he's right. The whole point is you can do what you want, but there will be consequences. There will be accountability. So remember, Colbert said that he was being silenced, when really it was a network decision to say you just weren't funny and we were losing millions of dollars because no one was watching your show. So I feel like Kimmel is bristling at the criticism, but his whole job, I know he doesn't like to be told what it is, but it is in service of entertainment to others. So it actually does matter what people say and about the kind of job he's doing. It's not like he's just a minor and he's like, all I care about is the amount of ore I bring up to the surface. Like, it actually does matter, buddy, what people say about what comes out of your mouth and what your show is like. That's why everyone hates it.
All right, you know, Dave, I used to remember, well, no, I was going to say I used to remember when he was funny, but I don't. But what I do sense is that he feels that he's too important to be funny. And so he's incapable of self-deprecation, and he doesn't have the bravery to be silly, to be like a deliberate idiot, which I do every single moment of my life. Thank you.
Well, Carson knew he was too funny to be important.
Yes.
And part of that was when you would look at NBC, he was the biggest star in the room no matter who he was talking to. He knew that whatever he did could sway an election, could change people's minds. He knew he had that power. Kimmel has that freedom to be somebody he wants to be because of people like Carson, but he chooses to be
Yeah.
And that's my problem with him. And he talks about being like Carlin and like Pryor, because we all remember those great Carlin and Pryor bits where they cried like a bitch. But it's true, though. It's just the fact that it's not people like Lenny Bruce, Carlin, Carson. You look at the people that he's comparing himself to who actually did comedy, took bullets for this, so he's able to have the freedom to do what he wants, and this is what he chooses to do with it. He can do anything that he wants at that show, including trash a man who just died and get his job back 48 hours later. But instead, he chooses to play the victim every time he's behind a mic.
Yeah.
You know what they call that? Privilege.
Yeah.
Privilege.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.